20th century Americans. Slightly underrepresented in the world of classical music. I feel a lot of people, when they think of songs composed in English, they don't think about Lee Hoybe and Libby Larsen, and certainly not Catherine Davis. Maybe they'll think about Benjamin Britten for a modern composer, but he's British. So I thought it was especially important to include them on this program, because they have composed some lovely things and they tell some pretty good stories. Partly why they tell such good stories is that they do something that a lot of the great composers of the past have done. They look to the past. If you recall your high school English teacher making you read Homer's Iliad or Odyssey, that was originally a song, a big epic song, and it looked to the past even at that time. And then you get through the Middle Ages and you got Beowulf, and that was a song and a story told for many years. And then you move up through the years and then you get Wagner, who is looking always to the legends of the past, Tristan und Isolde, and other aspects from years and years ago. And the American composers are no different, except they look to the more recent past, at least the ones that I've chosen. We'll begin with Libby Larsen, who wrote Billy the Kid. It's from a selection of 3 cowboy songs. And it's an interesting song, to say the least. The role of the piano is somewhat vague. It almost acts as like an angry mob at points. Sort of like it's going, rah, 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 rah. And then the voice comes in and tells the story, and then the angry mob is like, I agree. And then the voice comes back. So it's interesting to have that kind of push and pull going on. There are so many moments where the voice and the piano aren't necessarily together. The voice is alone, or the piano is alone, or there's specific breaks, and those breaks are important. And it's almost as if the piano is delivering the punchline. The voice sets up the story, and the piano gives the punchline. So it's very interesting. It makes a huge importance for the silences and the pauses. If you're not aware of them, or if I were to teach this song to a young student, they would have to know the piano part so intimately in order to make those pauses distinct and memorable. Now, there's also a clever use of dynamics that goes on in this song. Libby Larsen has it set in a comfortable sort of mezzo forte throughout a lot of the song speaky parts. And then when she says, better hush, it's piano. So it's just, she paid attention to the words of this anonymous poem to make it a little bit more meaningful. So it's especially important that one work on clear diction in the song. It's always important for a teacher and a student, and for teachers to teach their students to work on diction. But this song is particularly important because it's very fast, it's very short, and there's a heck of a lot of words in there. And if you can't understand them, what's the point? So it's important to almost have sort of that speak-singing quality that some of the singers of the past employed, including the guy from My Fair Lady, was it Harrison? Is that his name? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you'll probably hear a little bit of that. Then we move on to Nancy Hanks, which is composed by Catherine Davis, who wrote The Little Drummer Boy, but nobody knows her anymore. Nancy Hanks is a real historical figure, like Billy the Kid was. She was the mother of Abe Lincoln. And she was a very interesting lady. She supported his education. She was very nurturing of her son and her family. And she died quite young, and she died of the milk disease. Doctors don't use that term anymore, so it's kind of this obscure disease that we aren't quite sure exactly what it is, but that is what she died of. And the song is sort of looking at not the actual story of her life, but the story of her afterlife. So it gives kind of a spin on that. I think you'll enjoy it. And then we finally conclude with one of my favorite historical figures of all time, the Jabberwock. Fictional historical figure, but historical figure nonetheless, from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. I I don't know if any of you had a similar experience, but I was actually forced to memorize the Jabberwocky poem when I was 12. So when I found that there was a song to go with it, I said, yeah! And so it's interesting to have this this element of my personal story to put into the story of the Jabberwock. Lee Hoybe, who actually just recently passed away, composed this piece, and he did it so brilliantly. It's almost as if you're in Wonderland and you're walking through the Tulgey wood and you hear the Jub Jub bird and you're standing against the Tum Tum tree and you can just feel these things happening. Everything is in the piano, everything is included. And the Jabberwock features the chords get more aggressive when it gets scarier, and then there's a reprise of the opening line which kind of brings you back to the mood of that day. It's very enjoyable to sing, and I hope it's enjoyable to listen to. There's a little surprise at the end, too, in the piano that you might want to listen for. I hope you enjoy the set of the Americans.
me.